The following program is the work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
1, 2, 3, 4.
On BCIT magazine, the largest trial in Canadian history is finally underway.
Aboriginal leaders speaking out about more missing women.
And if you're traveling to the States, do you have a passport? Good afternoon. Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Carly Waldy.
And I'm Raymond G. The biggest trial in Canadian history began this week as Robert William Pickton faces numerous charges of first-degree murder. Our reporter Dustin Drews helps give some context to this historic trial.
In June of 1983, women started going missing here in Vancouver's downtown east side at an unusual rate. But it wasn't until September of 2002 that charges were laid for any of the disappearances. Robert William Pickton grew up on the Port Coquitlam farm where police say they've recovered samples of DNA and human remains. The farm was handed down from his parents, but by Pickton's arrest in 2002, only a portion of the original farm remained. The rest had been sold to build this park, these townhouses, and this school. Nevertheless, Pickton had continued to use his farm to raise pigs. But now Pickton is in this new Westminster court accused of killing 26 women who disappeared from Vancouver's east side. However, he will only be tried for 6 counts of murder during this trial. After the first trial, there will be separate proceedings for the other women. The 6 women in question in the first proceedings, which began Monday, disappeared between August of 1997 and November of 2001. Serena Abbotsway, Georgina Papin, Mona Wilson, Andrea Josbury, Brenda Wolfe, and Marnie Frey all disappeared from here on Vancouver's east side, where prostitution is still prominent. Dustin Drews in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
The new Westminster Courthouse is swarming with media as the Pickton trial is underway. We were there as well on day 1 to take a look at how reporters are covering the trial. And so it begins. Over 100 members of the media gather at the new Westminster Courts for the first day of a trial that's making history.
This is the worst, allegedly the worst serial killing case in Canadian history. Mr. Pickton is accused of 26 first cases of first-degree murder. This is big.
Hainsworth certainly isn't the only one who thinks so.
We have accredited over 362 media, and I would say today was a good showing of at least 150 to 200 media here. The closest would have come to one of the cases that we did at 222 Main Street, one of the hockey players.
The rain keeps most of the media under their tents, away from the entrance to the courthouse. Many prepare for one of the most challenging stories of their career.
As a reporter, it's wonderful to cover. But the nature of what we're covering is quite lurid and is very difficult to cover, because at one point you want to get the facts out, but at the same time you want to remain sensitive to your audience.
As you can see, the weather is miserable here at the courthouse, but it's going to take a lot more than rain to keep the media away from the Pickton trial for the next year. Carly Waldy in New Westminster for BCIT Magazine.
With the Pickton trial underway, First Nations leaders are speaking out about violence against Aboriginal women. In both northern BC and the downtown east side, the list of missing women continues to grow.
I took it upon myself. This is my niece, Tamara Chipman. And
this woman is looking for her niece. She went missing along a northern road, now called the Highway of Tears.
My niece Tamara is one of probably 40 or more women that are missing from that area. There's still women going missing. There's even more that weren't reported because of the lack of faith within the RCMP.
A frontline worker agrees the violence hasn't stopped.
The women, are still being violated, like they're still being beaten. Nobody wants to deal with the real root. Why are they down? Why are they using? These people down here, are human beings, they're not crap. There are people. They are part of, of the community down here.
Bernie and Gladys don't think the Pickton trial will help the victims or people living on the downtown east side.
You think about 20, 25 years after a perpetrator has killed one of those women, they've lived a full life. And those women and their families are still suffering because they miss their loved one.
Ending the violence against First Nations women isn't as simple as putting one man on trial. As long as entrenched racism and poverty exist, the women will not be safe. Jean Paetko in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
As you heard at the beginning of that story, one of the missing women disappeared along the road infamously called the Highway of Tears. Jean Paetko is with us live. Jean, can you tell us more about this case?
Well, Carly, the niece of the woman I interviewed disappeared just over a year ago. Tamara Chipman was last seen hitchhiking on the so-called Highway of Tears in September of 2005. According to Amnesty International, 33 women have disappeared along the highway from Prince George to Prince Rupert. All but one are Aboriginal. Perhaps the saddest part of the story is the 3-year-old boy now missing his mother. Tamara's family, of course, continues the search. Back to you, Carly.
Thanks, Jean. New passport laws applying to Canadians traveling to and from the U.S. were enacted on Tuesday. Andrea